cops are supposed to respond fast, right? Like, especially when you call them, it's an emergency. Just typically, like if you call the cops and they're being dispatched, with respect to where they're coming from, it should be fast. It's an
Yeah.
emergency. They got sirens. They can run red lights. Cars will stop when they. I just stopped for a cop car the other day so they can speed by me. Asshole probably was going nowhere, just wanted to run the light. Probably, who knows?
Oh, well,
But the response time is supposed to be fast. And, other things might encourage how fast they respond. For instance, there's a man in my house. Please come soon. Oh, shit. Another example. I don't know. I'm a kid in a classroom. There's a shooter. He's killed some people. That's got to be the fastest response time I've ever seen or heard of in my entire life. Should be. I would think 45 minutes is a bit too long for response time. I would think when you're outside the school and there's an active shooter in the school, I would think you'd want to go in. I wouldn't think you would be restraining the parents of the children in the school saying you can't go. You don't want to go in. I'm going to go in. My kid's in there. I wouldn't think you'd be focusing your efforts on that. But apparently this is what they did.
so clearly they're wondering why if the cops are going to be charged. You know what I mean? Because they waited so long to go into the room where these children were being killed. You know what I mean? It's difficult. It's difficult. Obviously there was negligence because that's what people are saying. They're considering this negligence on the part of the officers. They could have gone in a lot sooner, especially since there were 911 calls being made by the kids inside of the classroom where their fellow classmates were being actively killed in front of them, that they chose not to, right? So the reason that it's difficult, I'll just make it short. There's 3 different reasons. One is because just criminal negligence as a charge has such high standards before you can charge somebody with it. And what that means is just like civil negligence would be if you don't act in a way a normal or ordinary citizen would act in a situation and it causes harm to somebody else, right? Now, if we're talking criminal negligence, the reason why that one's more difficult is because there's a higher standard for what is considered harm. And in this case, there's multiple people involved in it. So it's just like, who do you charge for being negligent when you have many officers in a joint effort trying to do things? Remember, there was 20 officers in the hallway, right, at the time. So the other reason that it's difficult now is because it's just to charge a cop just in general of something like this, especially when it comes to like murder or anything like that. There's no precedent for it. It's difficult because they protect people who work for the government. Once you have a government job, it's very difficult. That's why a lot of these officials, or if anybody gets sued and they work for a government, the bigger corporation is the one who actually gets the suing, and then the employees, the ones who actually committed the crime, get represented by the union lawyer or whatever lawyer they have appointed to them by this company. That's how it works, right? So that's why it's difficult for that. The government protects the people that work for them. It's hard to, when they have government lawyers working for them, it's hard to charge government officials, long story short. The last reason that it's hard to charge them is, once again, because you have to think about how many people were on scene, how many people were involved, how many people who was in charge, who was doing this. Did somebody miss a phone call? It's like, you don't know who to direct the blame to or which officer to go to. So it makes it really difficult to charge the officers. So anybody out there that's looking for this to happen, I'm just telling you this because I'm saying just get your hopes, get them out the window. It ain't gonna happen. We just have to see what happens from here with Mr. Salvador Ramos.
Yeah, anyways, that's fine. Those are 3 legitimate reasons why it's not going to happen. I just keep it simple. Cops get away with murder all the time. So I'm not saying they shot the children, but literally they get away with murder. So this is like a walk in the park. That's it.
Right. See, that's easier to charge when the officer is directly involved in it. That's why that one is easier to get.
No,
That's
I
why you
understand.
have
No,
Derek Chauvin George Floyd thing, right?
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just saying, like, they just get away with it all the time. They pretty much get away with any and everything. And that's fine. You gave, like I said, you gave three amazing reasons, but at the end of the day, no person who has any insight on that situation is going to say the police weren't wrong. No one's going to say that. You should have went in immediately.
I mean,
100%.
everybody's saying that. Everybody's
Yeah, of
45
course.
minutes.
Of course.
45 minutes.
No
So
one.
the thing that
Yeah.
the thing that baffles me, right? Okay, so this is what baffles me. They're inside the school. Listen to this. They're inside the school. I want you, because I play it out in my mind. 20 officers are in the hallway. I don't know when these officers get into the hallway, but they're waiting there for 45 minutes. Now, this is the only way I can put this, but like, has this guy already killed everybody that he's killed? Or do people get killed while they're inside of the school? Because if a shot goes off, you have to explain to me how 20 officers don't hear a shot from a gun going off at some point, and how that sound doesn't trigger them to go into the room. Like, if I'm part of this investigation, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Look, man,
You think about that before?
Yeah, look, cops, that's a great point. Cops pull the trigger for less. I watched a video where like a 70-year-old grandma who has dementia, who doesn't speak English, who's more than an arm's distance away. Again, she's in her 70s, and the cops telling her to drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. She doesn't speak English. She has dementia. This old lady took 2 steps. I'm not exaggerating. She took 2 steps towards the officer, and he put bullets in her. So I've seen them do that for a lot less. So yeah, anyways, good on the cops. They've chosen a profession where they get to, murder people and make horrible, horrible decisions.
Not only protected by the blue wall, but they're protected by the government as well.
And still be protected. So good for you guys. You guys are fantastic.
It's clearly negligence. Like, this is obviously negligence. And if you don't know who to charge everybody involved.
And the
because
best,
if I'm an officer on the scene, one of those 20 officers, and I know this is going in, fuck your orders, man. Yeah. Like, fuck your orders. Don't any of them have kids?
That's what I'm saying.
None of those officers in there had children. They weren't thinking. Where's the empathy?
The best part about this is, even if there is a cop who was there that's like, we effed up, I need to get charged, I gotta face some sort of repercussion, I effed up, the rest of the cops, their union, they're gonna be like, you are saying nothing. Because if even one comes forward, precedence is the word, right? It messes it up for every other cop. So they're never, even if one of them has a conscience, I'm sure, how hard it would be to go to sleep? They're still human. They effed up, but they're still human. I'm sure they're having a very hard time going to sleep. I'm sure their conscience is eating them alive right now, but they still got to
just had to be somebody
still
there
got to swallow that, man.
And they're just
they
and they were just like, I can't,
that, man.
And I can't do it. I want to do this, but I can't. I know that's what, because it's
job,
right,
man,
right. Or if I go against the officers, they might come after me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Good choice.
Any reason that the officers chose not to go in there was a selfish reason.
Yeah, good choice, man.
100%. It had to be.
Great choice.
It had to be. There's
Great
no
choice.
way you're inside of there with all of those kids and there's a shooter in there, and you're not just like, yo, let's just. And the reason that they gave is because, of course, they wanted to assess this. They thought that this guy was in the room barricading himself. This is the statement that was made by the police chief, right? So they thought that the guy was in there barricading himself and by himself. So they decided that they wanted to mobilize the team and figure out a strategy to get safe. If you thought that, but he's by himself, that's even more of a reason why you should have went in there. What are you talking about? Like, what? That doesn't even make sense as an explanation to me.
Oh, wait, do you think you have some sort of a special way of understanding things? Anybody who heard that explanation realizes it makes no sense. I'm trying to tell you, man, cops are the worst. Viewing public, by the way, we need them, and there are some great cops out there. I'm not like you guys. I'm not going to lump you all into one. But yeah, these cops specifically, you guys have outdone yourself when it comes to shitty police officers. You guys are officially the GOATs, man. You guys are the GOATs, 110% at bad police work. And the best part about it is still going to be able to walk around with that shiny badge on. I'm telling you, they're the winners in this, man. They chose the perfect profession. And that's why I could never be a police officer. Viewing public, what are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments. I know what your thoughts are. If you think otherwise, I still want to hear it. I want to chuckle. I want to laugh. Do you have any insight on why they didn't act? Did we miss something? If we did, seriously, say something. I want to learn because I don't know how this makes sense. So if it makes sense to you, do share, especially if you're a cop. I wish we can get some cops listening to this podcast. They're not going to listen to this.
Probably do.
If they did and they were in this country, I'm sure I'd probably. Anyways, all right, deuces.